UK. In 1926, Columbia and OK Records and their jazz and blue artists, which included Louis Armstrong, were combined. It wasn't until 1951 that Columbia made a deal with Philips Records to distribute recordings outside of North America. And the Columbia label became more of a rock music label in 1967 after the appointment of Clive Davis as the president of the label. The structure of the U.S. Columbia remained the same as they spun off the classical Broadway unit called CBS Masterworks Records in 1980. And Columbia Records has various artists and genres, including Beyonce, the Dixie Chicks, Johnny Mathis, John Mayer, and Switchfoot. Capitol Records is an parent company of EMI and was founded by a songwriter, Johnny Mercer, in 1942. The financial backing was provided by the movie producer, Buddy DeSalva. They opened a storefront office in the Music City building and were the first Coast label. Capitol did open a second studio later in New York City. The earliest records produced were meant for children and included Sparky's Magic Piano and Rusty and Orchestraville. In 1949, a Canadian branch was established, and the 1950s artists included people like Judy Garland and Dean Martin. Later, they included an entire list of rap artists, including Snoop Dogg, Ice Cube, and Lil Romeo. And in February of 2007, a merger was announced by EMI for Virgin Records and Capitol Records. Capitol Records was also the first label to take sources from movies and musicals and sell them. This became very successful with shows like The Music Man and The King and I, which became one of the biggest album sellers of all time. Record altering is also a criticized concern relating to Capitol Records. One concern is that Capitol released a record in this country. They would then alter it and call it something else to be released in another country. Along with this concern, Capitol released a Beatles album in the U.S. They played with the recording